So I think when it was said and done, it was like 117 feet.
No question. Had you ever jumped a car before this?
No.
What's up, guys? Our next guest is a veteran stuntman currently working on King Kong vs. Godzilla and was actually the first African-American sponsored by Schwinn Bikes. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Kevin Jackson. What's up, KJ?
What is up, Trav? Thank you for having me, bro.
Man, thanks for coming. It's crazy. I haven't seen you in how many months now?
I'm embarrassed to say, dude, because we always talk, but it's just like, yeah, dude, see you in 4 months.
Yeah.
We always talk, yeah, see you in 4 months.
So, I mean, where have you been in the last few months, you know?
Yeah, let's see. We started the movie King Kong versus Godzilla, so we started over in Hawaii.
Okay.
So we started in October.
Cool.
And we just finished the first half right before Christmas.
Okay.
So got to come home for the holidays, say what's up, Happy New Year's and all that. And then I actually leave tomorrow for Australia, going to the Gold Coast to finish the back half of it.
How long will you be over there?
I think I'll be there till about the beginning or middle of April.
Wow. Australia and Hawaii, that doesn't suck.
You know, man, somebody had to do it, so I raised my hand.
So what are you doing on this film exactly? Are you, what's your role and position on Godzilla vs. King Kong?
Yeah, this one I'm working with, the stunt coordinator is Tom Harper, who I know you've worked with before.
Big shout out to Tom Harper, guys. You guys will hear his name tons of times on this JAMCast.
What I'm talking about. And then his partner and key rigger and owner of, what is it? Stunt Rigs.
Okay.
Mr. Sean Couts.
Sean Couts, who is a legend himself. Okay.
And so I'm very fortunate, number one, to be working with these guys and to be a part of their group. They both have done a lot for my career, but I have a lot of respect for them just as, we have stunt people, we have stunts, and then we have just good human beings.
Totally.
And these guys are just good human beings.
Yeah, totally. So you guys have a lot of rigging on this film, or what is it mostly involved? I know you can't give away too much right now, but...
Yeah, man, don't get me in trouble. Man. What's up with that?
Exactly. No story points. Yeah, just talk about
I'm going to give you
side.
some quick notes.
Yeah.
So what we have is King Kong versus Godzilla. You know what happens usually.
Totally.
And we got people running, people falling, people getting ratcheted. We got cars flipping with the effects guys. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
You know, it's just stuff that we enjoy doing. And we just always try to be creative. You know, everybody's seen a flip. Everybody's seen a person fly back. But what can you add to it? So the group that we have with us, man, I think we're fortunate enough to work together to be able to come up with stuff like that.
I mean, just the names that you've named, there's like an incredible amount of experience and talent on that team. I mean... There's one thing that I always say that you can't teach, which is experience, you know? And as someone that's up and coming like myself, the one thing I find is, you know, I'll find myself thinking I know everything. I'll show up on set and the coordinator will do something as simple as, you know, leaning something over safely so it clears the table, or putting a little banana underneath something so it tips easier. And I'm sitting here like, wow, I would have
Well, and that's the cool thing about it. I mean, there's a handful of gags, but what can you do with that handful of gags?
Totally.
You know, so we can pull that same gag out of a box, but man, we can pull it out and just twist it different kind of ways. And everybody's vision and everybody's experience allows us to always take it to the next level. So no matter how much I've worked, no matter how much Mr. Harper's worked, no matter how much Mr. Couts has worked, dude, we can all put our heads together and come up with stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to give props to you too, man. I mean, we're going to go back to Jungle Book with Jon Favreau. That's where I met Trav. But watching this guy work, especially with kids and how you communicate with kids, but also you're bringing in the new flavor that is needed. And guys like us, man, it's just like, okay, that's pretty cool because we wouldn't have thought of that. So if we put our experience together along with Travis's experience of what's coming up, he's got his finger on the pulse, who's hot, what's the new gag. Dude, that's what makes a good team.
Yeah,
you know.
totally.
So I like the fact that you might think it's individual, but it's a team. And if you get a team with experience, nothing beats it.
I mean, you've obviously seen tons of changes over the years as far as like technology is concerned and stuff, especially in rigging. How long have you been doing stunts yourself now?
God, man, dude, February, should I say this? 30 years.
Oh.
I think you young kids.
I think you should say that. He looks pretty damn good for being a stunt for 30 years. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping I can walk in 30 years from now.
I've been fortunate.
Okay.
You know, I really have been. And I think the whole thing about it is who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Who you have confidence in, which brings the trust.
Yeah.
And that brings the creativity. So when you're able to focus and be around that type of environment, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, sky's the limit.
Now, I know we all kind of have like unique paths. You know, my path was obviously martial arts, getting into the industry. But can you just give the audience a little bit of introduction on how you got discovered?
Yeah.
I mean, I know this story, which is absolutely incredible. Like, you guys have to imagine, this is before the time of emails and social media and cell phones even, right? Like, this sponsorship story is crazy. You'll have to tell everyone about this. Like,
it's crazy, man. I mean, first of all, I started off racing BMX.
Okay.
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and just, you know, tried to try some bike racing. My neighbor did it, so I tried it. Went out, and by chance I won. And so it was just kind of like, yeah, this is cool. You know, I guess I'll try it.
no way.
And so I did that. It happened to be the end of the season. Then all of a sudden, all the big teams were looking to put their teams together for the following year.
Yeah.
And all I remember is, you know, phone ringing and Pop's going, yeah, man, it's Schwinn.
No way.
You know, and you're just kind of like, for me?
Yeah.
I'm like, what did I do?
yeah, totally.
But it started just, man, I just being able to be hooked up with, at that time, one of the biggest sponsors you could have.
And what kind of riding were you doing?
I started off in BMX. So I was doing just like BMX motocross.
Oh, no
That's how
way.
I got started.
Cool.
Yeah, so in your backyard, man, out there, you know how you just set up the jump and a board and you jump and you crash and you get back up because you can do it better and you crash and then you figure it out.
I mean, this is just something I'm throwing out there, but BMX isn't necessarily something that's incredibly huge in the valley or necessarily, you know, in certain cultures. How is that? How did you get into that? You know, like,
no, absolutely. At the time, I think when we started, BMX was really starting to find its core.
Okay.
So it was still growing, but it was popular because of motocross. You know, so what actually helped us back then, you know, growing up, you know, you got guys like Jeff Ward, you got guys like Johnny Omer, a good friend of mine growing up, John Tomac.
Okay.
You know, so I happened to be a part of the flavor that was happening back then, because you had guys that rode motocross and guys like BMX. Oh yeah. Now let's take BMX to the next level. That's when all the frames started being modified, how you can cut weight out of these bikes. The good thing about it is when you had companies like Schwinn, you had companies like Mongoose, you had companies like Redline GT. A lot of that stuff comes from motocross background. You know, the owner of Mongoose Bicycles was Skip Hess.
Okay.
And if anybody knows drag racing, Tom Mongoose McEwen, I'm really aging myself. I know, seeing all these young guys go.
I know. Paul's over here like, I have no idea what they're talking about. Kevin, can I have you shift this out just like a foot or two? Yeah, I think our levels are, you're good. There you go. Yeah. He has a very loud projecting voice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's
so,
cool.
it was just, you know, the crossover happened to happen really good. And then for motocross, you know, having sponsors like, you know, Bell helmets, Oakley goggles, you know, I was just right place, right time. But obviously I must have done something right. You got to win.
Yeah, obviously. You're not going to get sponsored for nothing.
Yeah.
Now, am I wrong in hearing this rumor? I heard that at some point someone came and knocked on your door physically, or... How did this work? Yeah.
Oh, no, definitely. It's just kind of like I missed a step, but yeah, the whole thing was, you know, these guys in like trench coats and a hat, you know, and like, whoa, man. Okay. And like, yeah, we're looking for Kevin Jackson, you know, and is your dad home? And it just, I don't even know how to explain it.
That's crazy.
You know, it was just one of those things to where, you know, wow, this is something big.
Totally.
What do I do with it? How do you act?
Yeah.
And luckily I had good parents, man, that kept me focused. But it was all about, and this leads in the stunts. It really does, you know, because back then it's like, you know, you ride for Schwinn back in the day or Mongoose or GT, it's like having a bullseye on your back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, you know,
Totally.
so he got picked, so let's see what you got.
Yeah.
So you had to train. You
That's
constantly
crazy.
had to train. So yeah, caught a plane back to Chicago. They flew us in and you know, hey, this is the deal, or this is the real deal.
Wow.
You know, and you're just kind of like, I'm a 14-year-old kid with OP shorts and thongs.
Just having fun,
and
right?
Just having fun. And I'm
like,
like, I say, they're going to fly me here and they're going to do this. And the good thing about it is you either take advantage of your opportunity or you don't.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I was able, man, this is a good opportunity. Whether it was racing, you know, we raced all over the United States. Summer tours where I'd leave home in June, not come back till August.
Wow.
And we do the summer tours all across the United States.
This is while you're young still.
This is while I'm young.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to grow up pretty quick, but it was a good grow up because I got to experience different cultures.
Totally, yeah.
Got to experience society, which was different no matter what state you go to. But I think it helped me out, helped me understand who I am, but also helped me understand what I want out of life.
There's not a lot of parents that would necessarily let their child do something like that. I think it's a really key point that you touched on, which is your parents were supportive.
Yeah, very.
Yeah,
very. I mean, of course, moms are going to always want the baby at the nest.
Course,
yeah, you can't. My dad's like, get out of here. There's a whole world out there. You need to go, So I'm thankful that they were able to see that. And then from that, getting involved in, ads, shooting ad campaigns, going
so commercials
out,
and stuff.
Commercials. It was just a world that I just wasn't used to.
Okay.
But I was going to enjoy every moment of it. And then from there, it came during our downtime, we would have to go test product.
Okay.
So going over to Japan, testing at Shimano.
Nice.
Shimano World, I call it, because that's pretty much was it back in the day. If you were sponsored by Shimano, you know.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy now because what's crazy is I feel like these are names that my generation knows, but I don't necessarily know if the newer generation would know of these because kids just aren't on bikes these days. They know more about cell phones and video games.
Absolutely. It's a different world. The thing that's really interesting is back then, that's what we had.
Yes.
Today, kids have that plus 1,000 things more.
Yeah.
And so you can't knock them for not knowing what that is. It's just they even have better opportunity now.
Yeah.
So
totally.
I think that's cool. And at the same time, it all leads to the same path. Having an opportunity and what you're going to make of that opportunity. So when I see young guys today, I'm a big believer in them. I'm a big believer in the ones that want to work and the ones that want to learn because they can take it to a level, I'm looking at it today like, man, I never thought I'd get to this level.
Yeah,
totally. Now to be a part of that and see the baton being passed on, I'm like, man, these guys can even take it to another level. And why would you not want to help that or be a part to help out? Because I don't know everything, but man, I tell you what, if somebody's hungry and wants to learn and you can lend a hand to them, I'm all about helping out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an entire process. I think a lot of people on the outside don't realize that movies take people from every department, every team. It takes basically a village, like they say, a village to raise a child. It takes literally a village or an army to make a movie.
Man, you're dead on. Yeah. That's exactly what I don't care how good you are, but if you think you can go out and do it by yourself, good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
You pull a team of 5 guys together, or you pull a team of 10 guys together, you pull a team of 20 guys together. Man, that's just nothing but power. Yeah,
I mean, there's a reason why, obviously, it's a lot easier for studios to make a picture than an independent production is. Yep. Because a well-oiled machine will just, they have a process that they've been doing for years, and they have it unlocked. So
yeah, absolutely. And also be willing to adapt.
Yes,
one 100%. Thing, if you're going to be part of a team, it's not that your way is wrong. It's like, let's experiment and see how many different ways we can do this. And if you're willing to be a part of a team, I think the creativity is even that much more available for creation. Mm-hmm. And creation will always lead to success. Success is going to lead to breeding more, because if you got a taste of being on the right path, you don't want to really venture off path, but you surely want to get out there and experiment and learn how to do more and do more. Totally. And that comes with good people.
So I have a question. How does teenage Kevin Jackson riding bikes transition into being a stuntman or entering into the entertainment industry?
Had no interest in it whatsoever. Okay. Had no clue.
And you're from LA
and
too,
I'm
which
from
is
LA, which is really weird.
Yeah.
So what happened was when my racing days were over at Schwinn, or you should say, okay, when they offer you that next contract and it's like, man, okay, those numbers went backwards. They didn't go forwards. You got to reevaluate and figure out what's good for you. So they were in a position to where, look, man, we want to bring you in-house. We want you to be part of our design team. Okay. So I was offered a job with Schwinn. I moved to Chicago, and I was part of their design team. Okay. So I helped design their BMX bikes and then eventually helped design their mountain bikes.
Cool.
And that consisted of a lot of traveling, going over to Taiwan, going over to Japan, going over to Budapest, and working with the factories. Working with some of the vendors, how can we make the brake better? How can we make these tires better? Going out testing tires. And as a young person, what an awesome job.
Totally. Yeah. Seeing the world, getting paid.
Seeing the world, getting paid and seeing the world. So then I translated that into, okay, there's nothing wrong with an office job. I never want to go out there and tell people, hey, office jobs are bad, because they're not. Yeah. Because there's somebody that wants to do an office job. I was in a position to where I love the outdoors. I'm an outdoors person. I was in the office, and I'm like, before I say this is it, there's one other love that I have. So when I started doing commercials for them, I'd run into guys like, hey, man, you should do stunts. And what's a stunt? I didn't know.
Yeah, totally.
So then they're like, well, no, you're riding that bike, jumping that car. That's a stunt. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. You're
okay, I got that.
Yeah. You're like, I am getting paid for this already.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not getting paid, but yeah, you could get paid more, I guess, is what
Absolutely. So it was just one of those things, I guess I better try it.
Okay.
So I went to the company and just said, hey, there's another love I want to have, but I don't want to sit here and take your money and...
Look at this guy.
And I just didn't want to do it because, to sit here and take your money and not want to be here was wrong. And I knew the owners of the company very well. And it was just like, dude, thanks. And if you ever need a job in the bike industry, come see us first.
Yeah, totally.
So I wanted to leave on good terms.
Cool.
And I'm glad I did. And then that led me into getting started with stunts. When I came in, a lot of Disney shows. Look, I was a small African-American guy that was in the rollerblading, was in the bikes, that was getting into rock climbing.
I mean, this should have made you stand out though, right?
It did. Yeah. I mean, I have to admit now that I look back on my career and what people tell you, it's just like, okay, dude, you just like went in and like took off.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, I never looked at it that way. I looked at it as being, number one, very thankful.
Okay.
And how do I hone this to make it last? So I never looked at it to where, oh, look at me, because it wasn't really about that. It's like, man, you're fortunate, so what are you going to do with it?
Okay.
And then I was still hungry. And then it was just like, okay, well, from bikes, I was into designing bikes. And so I knew a little bit about, designing angles and, material. So I'm like, I want to get into rigging because I have a passion for it, but I don't know if I have a passion for it until I try it.
Okay.
So I was able to get in and get on the ground floor and just start putting my mind to work and learning. And that's another facet of the business. Sometimes back then it was just like stunts, man. That's all it's stunts. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to hit the ground at 50.
Totally.
Hopefully
not.
Yeah.
Hopefully
so let's
not,
see. If you want to, okay, but there's other avenues of growing.
Totally.
So I looked at the opportunities.
Okay.
So people want to coordinate. Some people want to be a second unit director. Some people want to rig.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to know what I want to do unless I dive into that stuff. So I was all about diving in.
Okay.
I want to learn about rigging. The good thing about rigging, I like rigging.
Yeah.
Are there guys out there better than me? Absolutely. But can I go out there and hold my own? Absolutely. Well, man, imagine working on that team with those guys.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's where I thank Sean Couts and Tom Harper for that. Because Sean's one of the best. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
He's one of the best.
Totally. His systems are incredible.
Systems are incredible. But the work ethic that most people don't see, that's what's incredible for him. Mm-hmm. So we can all go out there and design whatever you want to design. But if you don't have the work ethic to go out there and dive in and keep it dialed in, it's a different animal. And that guy's got a tremendous work ethic. So what I saw was, man, that guy's got a little bit of me in him.
Okay.
Because there's nothing wrong with working hard. Working hard is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, and something that I realized is riggers are pretty much first ones in, last ones to leave, because you guys got to pre-rig, de-rig stuff.
Yeah.
And I always kind of noticed that. I was like, wow, these guys are here way more than I am, which is kind of crazy, because, after you hit a certain amount of time and hours on set, you start to go a little stir crazy.
Yeah.
And then I'll look over there and realize, oh, well, I just got wrapped. They got to de-rig for a few hours. So.
Well, and it's like, you never really think of it like that too, because, the people that I know, when you get involved in rigging, you're doing rigging because of a passion.
Yeah.
And once you get in it, it's like, okay, how do I do this better? How do I make this better? Well, next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, you guys, you're going to come in before and rehearse this and do this and stuff. Okay, now on this show, we're going to bring you in before the show starts so you guys can rehearse this. So it's a passion that if you give us the right amount of time and the right amount of respect, it's amazing what any rigging group can do.
Okay.
And I always try to point that out to people. Dude, don't look at the dollar bill and don't look at, dude, I'm here for 5 days and you're here for 1 day. Look at it as a passion. And if you look at it for a passion and you're into it, all that other stuff is going to come.
Yeah,
it's going to come.
100%.
And I say that to stunt guys too.
Yeah.
If you want to do stunts, man, do stunts.
Yeah.
You know, because you'll get guys out there, oh man, I'm going to be a stuntman because look how much they make. Yeah, wrong attitude.
Wrong. Yeah. If
Wrong.
you're chasing the money,
if you're chasing the money,
yeah.
you know it. Yeah.
Totally.
It's going to catch up with you, but unfortunately on our side of the fence, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know, I don't care if you're an old veteran stunt guy or a new stunt guy, you know, it's there for people that want to do it. It's there for people that want to grow. It's there for people who want to accept the challenge that it brings.
Yeah.
But it's also there for individual growth. You know?
For someone that's been in the industry for 30 years, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen, I guess, you know, across the industry, or I guess just, you know, as far as rigging and stunts are concerned? Do you think things have improved with technology in time, or?
Yeah. It's a good one because the business has definitely changed. So if I look at it from a stunt person's point of view, I feel bad for a lot of guys that want to do stunts because sometimes you're overshadowed by a guy that just wants to go get a paycheck, and it's not fair. Because there's good stunt guys out there. There's guys that put their time in. There's guys that train. There's guys that want to train, and there's guys that want to get better.
Yeah.
So I feel bad because sometimes those guys will lose out to somebody who just doesn't really care. And it'll weed itself out.
Yeah,
you know,
eventually.
It's going to weed itself out. Yeah. But don't get discouraged, because if that's what you want to do, I always say stick to your guns, man. Yeah. Life is about do what makes you happy. And if you're happy with it, focus on it. And if you're going to focus on it, you're going to get better at it.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
You will.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Totally.
So from a stuntman side, I see that. From the other side, whether it's rigging, the thing that gets complicated in today's business is everybody thinks they're a rigger. You know, so you'll get guys that go out there and like, well, dude, I got this little roll-away box with some things in it. And I'm all about getting ahead, you know, but understand what comes along with it. Yeah, okay, that's true. But there's responsibility, there's liability, and there's accountability. So if you're all about that, then understand what you're getting into. Not like, oh, look, dude, I just got an extra paycheck because I got this box. Totally. So I think that frustrates a lot of the veteran rigging guys that are out there who have millions of dollars invested into their gear. You know, who have to carry insurance policies and it's not just to protect them, it's to protect the surrounding.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and they have a tough battle. They have a tough battle, but the good ones the good ones always rise to the top. So I think they're going to be able to take care of themselves, and it's going to show. Unfortunately, you don't want to see it happen at the expense of somebody getting hurt. Yeah, totally. And that you never want to see that.
Sad reality, but a part of our business, unfortunately.
It's a part of our business, and I think everybody that truly is in our business as a stuntman, as a stunt rigger, as a stunt coordinator, we understand the responsibilities, and we're willing to go the extra mile to assure that we've all crossed our T's and dotted our I's. Yeah. So you want to try to work for those people. You want to try to work in that group of people, because it's not only just getting through the stunt; it's, you know, getting through your career. Yeah. You know, and it's always good to say, it's like, man, I've had a long career, and man, thank goodness, nothing major.
Totally. You know?
But I also want to give respect and props to you young stunt guys, because some of the things you guys are doing, I'm like, damn. I'm like, first of all, we're using that. And second of all, I got mad respect for you, because I understand what it takes to start from the beginning and train and rehearse and train and rehearse. So when I see somebody pull off stuff, I got nothing but mad respect for you.
See, I think it goes both ways for me, because, like, you know, I think that what my friends and I do nowadays is obviously very cool, you know, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I look at the old school generation and I look at the lack of technology, the lack of pads, the lack of safety, you know, and not from safety from a standpoint of people being careless. It's just, we just didn't have the technology, you know. We have pads now like D30, for example, for people out there that are listening. We have pads that harden on impact. This did not exist, 30 years ago. Exactly. Just technology as far as rigging is concerned. It's kind of funny. You get some of these jobs in other countries, like, for example, India. Yeah. I have a lot of friends that tend to go out there to work on projects, and some of the things they tell me almost feels like a flashback to stunts in the United States 20 years ago, which is like predating all this equipment and technology and stuff. So it's crazy to see how things have advanced, especially with rigging. You know, for a lot of us, Kevin and I have been talking about rigging. Rigging is specifically relating to wires and all the maneuvers that we utilize on camera, where people are either flying or objects are flying. Even camera is rigged. You know, obviously yes. They use camera moves.
Absolutely.
Did you see Disney and the robots they've been making?
Oh yeah,
man.
I saw some of the footage of that.
Yeah. Paul, can you pull it up?
Man.
Pull up some of this footage, man. Like, this is something that, you know, I've been looking at with some of my friends, and I've just been like, this is mind blowing, but scary all at the same time. You know. Well, I'm just going to put this on screen so some of you guys can see this, but what we're watching right now is Walt Disney, their Imagineering Research and Development team, have created these robots that essentially are replicating a human body, and they're utilizing them to do wire maneuvers that you would see, you know, in some of your favorite superhero movies. And I guess, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, but the advantage of them creating that would be, A, to not hurt a human, but B, I think what they're looking at is just ways to dial something in to make it extremely perfect and replicable over and over again, because no matter how talented you are and how good you are, there is always human error involved. You know?
Absolutely. And I don't look at it as a bad thing. I really don't, because the one thing that's good about life, the one thing that's good about society, it's always growing.
Yes.
It's always searching for the next best thing. There's the business offers so many different facets now. So, for example, if we look at those robots, you know, one way to look at it is like, oh, there it goes, man. The robots are taking over. Well, my thing is, the next thing to look at is like, okay, well, yeah, they're doing that. Might take a while.
Yeah,
but if they get to it, well, what's the other avenue that we can attack? You know, there's always avenues out there. There's could be things like, you know what, we can't do that, so we need you guys to do this.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so I always never try to turn it into a negative. To me, you know, computers, cameras, you know, technology, editing equipment.
Yeah.
Everything goes through its channel and it goes through its process. So either say, well, this is all I know, I'm gonna stay here, or man, look what they're working on. What can we work on?
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously these technological advances are gonna make some people insecure or a little worried about losing out on jobs. But at the same time, you know, like you said, I think that there will always be something that we can add or contribute. You know, there's one thing a lot of people don't know is, I think on the last few Spider-Man movies, anytime Spider-Man leaves the ground, it's completely CG.
That's right.
Completely computer graphics. Whereas, like, you know, a decade ago, I remember my friends, you know, like Ilram Choi and Holland Diaz doing incredibly crazy wire gags. Chris Daniels, for example, doing real Spider-Man stuff, practical wire gags. Whereas nowadays, they just CG it.
Take it over.
Which is cool, you know. At the same time, I don't think that Chris and them would necessarily think that it's taking away. You may not make as much money in adjustment wise, but there still will always be a Spider-Man stunt double. You'll always still need somebody to test stuff and
absolutely
get online, so.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of, if we go back to the beginning when we first opened the segment, you know, hey man, you're young, and if you're hungry and you practice, you rehearse, you dial yourself in. And I think the good thing about all that is the cream is going to rise to the top. So is it a point to where, hey man, these are good stunt people and these people are working? They put the time in, man. They should be working.
So along the lines of that, you know, as far as putting time in, what can someone do that's looking to specifically get into stunt rigging, let's say? Yeah. You know, as opposed to just stunts in general. Like, rigging is something that's a little more specific. So what can people do to try to gain experience or get into that field? Absolutely. Well, and I think each company has its own set of rules. And not even rules, guidelines. Okay. You know, like Mr. Sean Couts might run his unit one way where somebody else is going to run their unit the other way. Okay. But the good thing about all that is, you know, your personality, your work ethic. What can you do to get into it? I mean, we have guys that come from tower work, doing high tower work. We have guys coming in, you know, from, you know, being climbers. You know, we have guys coming in, engineers. Okay. We have guys coming in with fabrication backgrounds. So what happens is, I think a lot of them try to, what's going to make my team the most well-rounded is how it's approached. So I like that, because it's not like, okay, you have to go out and do this. And if you do this, then you're going to be a rigging guy. Yeah, this is the checklist. Yeah,
yeah, I like the fact that is, hey, man, you know what that guy can do? This guy can do that. No, that guy's pretty cool, you know, because we're all learning. I don't care if we put in 5 years in the business, 10 years, 30 years in the business, you're still learning.
Oh, 100%.
So imagine having the opportunity to get with a group of people that you can mesh with, that you can get along with. I mean, look, sometimes you are gone for 4 months, 6 months, and you want to be able to get along. And, and get along, that's a wide definition, because we are there to work. We are there to, create. We are there to be able to get along with the team, put in a decision, not take it personal. So when you look at all of those variables that are involved, it's just like if you want to go become a supercross racer. You're going to fit on a certain team you're not going to fit on. If you want to go drive NASCAR, you're going to fit on a team or you're not going to fit on a team. So everybody has their definitions that I think varies depending on what camp you're in. Okay. But the skills and the talent is still the skills and the talent. But I always say, dude, you don't have to come from one facet. What can you bring to the table? Because you might bring something to the table that we're like, oh, dude, I don't know how to do that. Check that out.
So would you suggest then, I guess the best thing to do is to, whatever skill set you do have or whatever it is that you're trying to bring to the table, is it to then find someone that's an established rigger already and then kind of shadow them, I guess, is for lack of a better term, like apprenticeship type thing? Or
I think the apprenticeship like that is a good way for anybody. Okay. Whether you're getting into production, whether you're getting into stunts, whether you're getting into rigging, because you're gonna, you're gonna want to be around that environment. And I think when you're around that environment, you're gonna want to show what you can do. Okay. And then by diving in can be that, dude, I'm just here to observe. Yeah. And just where can I lend a hand? But it's amazing what you can learn by just taking one step back and evaluating what's going on around you. And the best way is just or where guys are working out, where guys are training. Some guys might have some rigs set up that they're just playing around with. If you have an opportunity to go over and do stuff like that. So it all has a beginning. Okay. And the beginning is going to lead to whatever you make of it.
Okay. No, I think that's really, really good advice. I think in this industry in general, a lot of people are just lost because they just constantly feel like they're drowning and just trying to find a way out, know? Whereas opposed to just looking at it as taking things, progressively one step at a time and just trying to, go from there. So,
well, and it's true, because the thing is, just when you think you know everything, I guarantee you don't. Yeah, totally. Because there's more to absorb. And even if you go out and something goes wrong, you're still going to learn from it. Or somebody wanting to climb the top right. Well, dude, I know more than that guy. Let me just hurry up and get up here. That's fine. But I would rather have longevity once I get up there. And by having longevity, just be willing to take the steps. And because every step you take, if your heart and your soul is into it, you're going to absorb it. And when you absorb it, when you get to the next level, you're going to be ready.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I think it's really invaluable. And I know, besides rigging, obviously, we've been talking about that a lot. One of the other things that you really branch into and do as well is obviously stunt coordinating at this point in your career, So one of the things I'm commonly asked, I feel like a lot of people like to know, is what are some things that people can do to stand out or meet other coordinators? Like what's a good way to start to segue your way into a team, for example?
Yeah. And again, I think everybody's team is different. And what I mean by that, there's some guys, they like to go on mountain bike rides. Okay. So a group of them will go on mountain bike rides. Next, these guys are meeting every week, going on a mountain ride. There's some guys like, hey, we're just going to go train, and you get out there and certain guys come up and they train. So the business has definitely changed to where it was probably easier back in the day to go meet the guys. Yeah. Now it's probably a little bit harder, but it's not something that will never happen. It's not something, it's not feasible. I can never do it. Never think that way, man. I always stay positive. You're going to meet people.
What's your take on hustling? Yeah. I know hustling is something that some coordinators they're very all about and supportive. It's a part of the industry. And there's some other ones that kind of don't give you the best results, for lack of a better word, I guess. I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah. You know what? In my day, I saw something that I said I'll never be like that. Okay. And there was a guy that was waiting to hustle, and I thought he was polite. And then when the opportunity came, the way that coordinator treated him, I'm like, man, if I ever become a stunt coordinator, I'll never do that. Yeah. Because it was, I don't know, I could be in the middle of nowhere, and you could have driven 2 hours to come see me. You could have driven 3 hours. Yeah. I don't know that.
Yeah.
So to me, I had to have help getting in the business. And help means I hustled. And there was a lot of times where I got up in the morning and left my house, and I didn't come home till after dinner.
Wow.
And I saw 3 people today. That's a huge day.
Totally. Yeah.
Because I drove from one end of the valley to the other end, or got on the freeway and drove all the way down for a couple hours. But because I want to make it, you know, this is what you do. So I will never, I don't care who you are, you always have 5 seconds to say hi to somebody.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, I remember, you know, the shows that I have coordinated, and I see people, I'm like, hey, man, you know, I'm busy right now, but, you know, sit tight, dude, you know? And then it's like, hey, first of all, what's your name? And where'd you come from? I'm more curious where they came from.
Yeah.
I remember being up at the top of Griffith Park at 1 a.m, and there's these 2 people standing there. Dude, they must have stood there for an hour. Wow. And I'm like, okay, man.
Just waiting to meet you.
Yeah. But I got a lot of mad respect for that.
Totally.
You know, it's just like, man, first of all, for them to even get up to the location and get there, you know, and I'm like, I respect that. So I'm going to go give you 5 minutes. Or I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm really busy, but I appreciate you coming. What's your name?
Yeah.
Okay, my trailer's down below. If you put it in there, you know, give it to me, you know, but I prefer if you put it, you know, just 5 minutes, man.
For anyone that's lost right now on the subject we're talking about, hustling is essentially just going to a set, finding out where a stunt coordinator is working, and just basically trying to sneak onto the location tactfully without getting anyone in trouble, and basically passing off your headshot and resume. Just kind of a way to meet and greet coordinators, if that makes sense.
Well, trying to have a shot, trying to have a chance. And that's how I look at it. You know, some people might look at it as, you know, differently, but man, that guy's just trying to make it.
Yeah, totally.
That's all he's trying to do. So I can give somebody, you know, a little bit of time trying to make it.
Yeah.
May not have anything for you, but you know what? I'm going to meet you.
I mean, I hear stories all the time of a guy where he hustled the coordinator maybe 20 times, and then randomly 4 years down the road, he gets called for a job, and the coordinator will be like, yeah, man, I remember you brought me your headshot.
Absolutely.
So it may not be an immediate payoff, which I feel like in our society is something that we always want, which is immediate gratification.
Yeah.
It may not always pay off that way, but in the end it works, you know? So
well, always try to have a positive outlook. If there's any advice I can give any young person, if you want to be a stunt person, if you want to be a director, if you want to be a producer, if you want to, you know, just be a part of, look, man, have the patience, you know, but just stay focused.
Totally.
Yeah, because if you stay focused and you want it, it's coming.
And you got to always be ready, right?
It's coming. Yeah. Well, and that's on you. Oh, yeah. Because if the call comes and, you know, I have a heart, you know, so I'm going to like, all right, man, you know, I understand. But there's a lot of guys out there, hey, man, I gave you your shot.
So you guys don't know this, but what I just did was a very slick segue into a story that I want Kevin to talk about, which is always being ready combined with visiting set. So I also heard this rumor of a story that, I forget which movie it was, but I heard that you actually were not working. You were delivering something to set. And you got asked to jump a car.
Yeah.
On the spot.
It's crazy. Okay. Crazy.
You guys see what I did? I'm hooking you guys up.
Yeah,
right, so
that was a good
Kevin,
hook.
This
that was
story,
a good hook.
I need to know. Please tell the people about this story. What movie was this?
Let's see. This was Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence,
which I've heard crazy stories about. Another Tom Harper story.
Yeah.
A bunch of
Troy Brown was out there. Tom Harper was out there. Ellis was the coordinator.
Wow.
So just imagine the talent.
It's crazy that Tommy and them weren't the coordinators then.
Yeah. And I got called to deliver some jump ramp. And so, you know, here I am loading up some ramps. I'm delivering. And next thing you know, Troy Brown, Tom Harper, like, hey, man, sit tight, you know? And I'm like, yeah, man, all right. So it's like, okay, I'm just here to deliver the ramps.
Sit tight as in, like, wait, don't leave right now.
Yeah, don't leave yet. Yeah, don't leave yet. And then it was just like, they're like, hey, man, we're having some problems, and we might have to replace the guy in the car, and we want you to do it. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And so it's like, yeah, we got this jump, you know, and I'm like, yeah, all right. And but you know, it wasn't like, whoa, I can't do this. It was like, man, this is an opportunity. And but I had no idea it was that big of a jump.
So, question: had you ever jumped a car before this?
No. I've driven, so I've been in driving.
So I didn't even know this. I thought you had jumped cars before. This makes the story even more epic. No way.
Total epic, man. It's like, going to talk about tying me and Tom
Dude.
Harper together for life.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, dude, he took care of me.
I have a funny story that Paul knows about. My first ever high fall was 40 feet. First time I ever did one was on set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but jumping a car is a little bit different because I was going to a pad, So what happened?
Well,
so they just convinced you to...
Well, it wasn't even I mean, I trusted the guys.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I trusted these guys. I've been around them. I've worked out with these guys and stuff. And it was just like, hey, man, we got you. You got this. So they obviously had confidence in me. And so I'm like, yeah, man, it's all good. And I've been, I've driven a lot of cars on, stuff like that. But a jump, and it was like...
But set the jump up for me now. So how what's the speed you're coming in at? What do you hold constant? How far are you going?
Absolutely. So we're downtown, and we had a jump ramp with some kickers on it.
Okay.
So because the road is going away from me, so it's going downhill.
Oh.
So
Okay.
everybody, we kind of calculated, what we want the car to do. The car had airbags on it.
Okay.
And, so we checked the tire pressure. We had the airbags where we thought they should be.
Yeah.
And let's see, Dick Zeiker was the guy that was going to lead me in on the jump.
Yeah.
And so we figured, we'll probably hit it, around, 30, 40 miles an hour.
So are they pulling you in, or are you actually you're accelerating yourself?
I'm pacing myself off of a pace
you're going
car.
off a pace car.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had all my marks and everything.
Okay.
And so one guy's like, oh, no, man, you're going to hit that thing at 60.
60.
And I'm like,
60.
whoa, 60. So again, here comes Tom Harper, save the day. And he goes, look, man, you're not going to hit it at 60. So our ideal was we approached it at 40, and then we punched it, when we got to the end of the ramp. So before the jump, we drove the car up to the end mark so I can at least have some eye lines so I know where I'm at.
So you can scare yourself.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's cool. So my eye line is I can see the telephone pole and the telephone wires off, so at least I know, where I'm at. So
not a fire hydrant, guys.
Man, yeah, we're talking up. So we got going and we went, and for some reason the car, you couldn't duplicate that. It just happened to hit a sweet spot. The car happened to hit a sweet spot. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. And what that means is we had airbags on there, so the compression of the car once the liftoff happens in the kicker ramps, it's a timing. So what happened was it just hit the sweet spot and just sent the car sailing.
No way. So perfect flight almost.
Perfect flight, yeah. So I think the guys call it a flying squirrel. That's how high I was. And the telephone wires were not even in sight. It was just blue sky. So I'm like, man, I think I'm up here.
We're fully out here. I think I'm up here.
Up there. Oh. And when it was all said and done, the car, thank goodness we had weight in the trunk, so it hit trunk first.
Totally.
It took a big curse off.
Back end down, yeah.
But it was, it was a little rocky ride.
Wow.
And the steering was gone. So hearing from Tom Harper's point of view, he was like running down the hill, call 911, call 911.
They thought you're dead.
And they thought, it's like, man, this is not good.
We just sent Kevin Jackson to the hospital.
So all I remember is like, I'm in the car, and Tom Harper says he walks up, and I'm just gripping the steering wheel, and I'm just like, Kevin, you all right? You all right? And I'm like, I think so. Yeah, I feel good, man. And because he thought, he goes, oh, I guarantee his back's broke.
Yeah.
And
he's coming from Tom Harper, who's broken his back.
Again, this is where experience comes in. If it wasn't for him leaning my seat back on an angle and putting an inner tube under my seat, it could have been a totally different outcome.
Totally.
And those little adjustments from a pro and from a guy who has a lot of experience.
And a lot of back breaks.
And he's been around. That's what saved me.
Yeah, totally.
So they were just cracking it because, can you get out? Like, yeah, man, I think I'm good. So I unbuckled the car, got out, and they were all just like, what? So I think when it was said and done, it was like 117 feet. And I was like, I forget how high. It turned out to be like 117 feet. Yeah, that's how far the car flew.
All right, for those of you at home, a spring floor is 42 feet wide. That's almost 3 spring floors that you covered off a jump, and you've never jumped a car before.
Yeah.
So what goes through your mind in midair? Are you praying? Are you thinking? Are you calm? Or
no? I mean, to me, I've always learned, and that's probably just from the bicycle background and everything.
Yeah, of course.
It's like the number one thing to do is to stay calm.
Okay.
Because I got to think, what's going to happen afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is like, okay, it's blue sky, so it's going to be an impact. So get ready for the impact. And then when the impact came, when the car hit, I'm like, okay, try to steer. Then when the steering was gone, I'm like, okay, get on the brake.
Wow.
And yeah, no, I'm one. I can think things through. I'm not the guy like because that's the worst thing to do.
You don't have to say the number, but did they make it worth your while?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Again, Tom Harper.
Tom Harper is a legend.
Yeah, they took care of me.
You guys will hear that name plenty of times on this show.
Yes.
I swear there have been some times where Tom heard my bag unzip and I got paid. He's like, I heard his bag unzip. Pads
Tom
are coming out.
Understands the business very well.
Yeah.
But he also understands the responsibility as a stunt coordinator.
Yeah.
And he also respects the fact that sometimes that could be a gag gone good, and sometimes it could be a gag gone wrong.
Yes.
But he understands the facet of how to take care of a person, and how to have a person want to come back and work for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a big misconception in the industry is, I mean, I don't know if you ever feel this, but I definitely feel sometimes on set that other departments look at us as like a department that eats up a lot of money. We're very expensive. Yep. We cost a lot. We cost a lot in overtime. But at the same time, my thinking is always, but you could jump a car and you're out for a year of work.
And that's exactly it. I think when you have backgrounds like we have, coming from an athletic background, we know what one injury can do.
Yeah.
And you could be literally done.
Yeah.
And and I look at the same thing, because I get it, I guess the stories I've heard from day one coming in the business, it's just kind of like, okay, you guys make too much money. Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, a baseball player makes too much money. Oh, the basketball player makes too much money.
Totally.
Car driver makes too much money. I'm like, all right, well, let's take the percentage of how many of those guys actually make it to that level.
Exactly.
It's a small percentage.
Totally.
And with that percentage, your body is on 24/7 high.
Yeah,
it just
is,
totally. So at that point, what is something worth to you versus what is it worth to the owner?
Yeah.
The owner could be an owner of a team. The owner is also the studio, because what's so funny, if it's an action movie, what's in the trailer? It's the action.
It's the action.
What is the NFL selling? What is the NBA selling? So there is a value for somebody that has been chosen to go to that level. So what is that reward to that level?
No, totally. Yeah. And I use this analogy all the time when I'm talking to up and coming stunt people, which is I flat out say, I make as much as my friends that are doctors. But with that being said, a doctor goes to school and goes to grad school and goes to med school and has hours and hours that they have to just work before they're actually a full-on doctor. I have friends that put themselves through 8 years of extra schooling and debt and stuff to become a doctor. And so I always equate that to people that are up and coming stunt people. And I'm saying, if you want to get paid the same amount as a doctor, are you putting in the same amount of time and studying and learning to become a stunt person?
1,000%.
I think a lot of people just don't see that equating, and it blows my mind, because one of the things that I have a common talk with a lot of people about is I'll straight up ask them, how often do you train?
Yep.
And a common answer is, I train every day. I do this for this. I do this for this. And then I'll generally ask them, did you do sports in high school? And about 50, 75% of the people in our industry did play sport in high school. And I straight up ask them, okay, do you train more now than you did in high school for your team sport? And the average answer is no.
Yeah, good
The average
point.
answer is, whoa, you're right. Like when I was in team sports, I had to do these things. I had to do 2 to 3 hours. And I just look at them straight in the face and I go, do you put in the same amount of time that you did as a high school athlete that you are now as a professional stunt person?
Yeah.
And if you're not, there's not much that I can say,
And it speaks for itself. Yeah. I mean, you said it perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you lay it out like that, that's where I always say people have choices.
Yes.
You know, so your choice is to take the easy road, then maybe it's going to be an easy outcome. You know, not maybe satisfying. Or that's the guy like, oh, I can't believe him, man, this and that. It's like, whoa, man, I see that dude training all the time.
Yes.
I see that dude, the last one to leave the gym.
Yeah.
You know, or I see this guy, if it comes to a stunt, he's really trying to work it out in his head. You know, whether it's a piece of paper, he's trying to understand the moves, he's trying to understand the scene. So when you break it down, a lot of people that make the negative comments, unfortunately, my belief only, a lot of them haven't played high school sports.
Yeah.
A lot of them are not athletic, you know, so it's easy to make a comment. You know, I always say it's like, you know, it's the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
No matter where you
Yeah,
go,
of
there's a
course.
peanut gallery.
Always.
But I respect the peanut gallery. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like, yeah, man, okay, cool. You know, I'm all about, somebody's got to be in the peanut gallery.
I mean, you have
I
to-
just chose not to be in it. I just want to go be a doer.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have something to compare it to also, because
Absolutely.
there's a clear disparity between work ethic. You know,
Yeah.
someone that works hard and someone that doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't lie. There are obviously some individuals that are extremely naturally gifted.
Yes.
I have some bastard friends like Ben Jenkin, for example, who can just
Dude is rock
do
solid.
things first try. Literally, I took this kid to the batting cages.
Yeah.
Never played baseball in his life. He's from the UK.
Yeah,
You know, within 5 minutes, he was hitting 80 miles per hour. He's like, oh, I got this. Yeah, I got this. I'm like, yeah, you do got that, dude. That's cool. First time he went to Camp Woodward, got on a bike, did a backflip into the foam pit in 2 tries.
I'm only laughing, guys, because this dude, I've met this guy,
Yeah.
and he's a rock star, man. It's just talent. I mean, some people are gifted,
Yes.
but I look at gifted people like that as a blessing.
Yeah, and it's not. Here's one thing, not to downplay Ben.
Yeah.
He put all of his time in as a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I do see this a lot, that there are a lot of stunt people nowadays that they decide to be a stunt person later in life. So they kind of begin their training journey, you know, a little later in life.
Yep.
Whereas Ben had no goal of doing stunts or anything like this. He just wanted to get really good at parkour and trampoline for himself. So he just spent hours as a kid in his backyard.
Yep.
You know, so he probably put in 5 to 6 hours every day training as a kid for fun, not inherently knowing that it would contribute to him being a badass stunt double. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Well, and that's leading back to what we talked about earlier. You know, if you focus on the love of what you're doing, everything else is going to follow.
Yes.
You know, but if you go out there and focus on that dollar, hey, don't get me wrong, some people do make it. Good for them, but I'm not going to focus on that.
Yeah. This
I'm
is a
gonna-
talk we've had.
Yeah, oh, exactly. I mean, you know, when you see young people and they're hungry, that's one talent. When you see young people that are hungry and they have the tools, that's another talent.
Yeah.
When I see somebody that's hungry, has the tools, and is putting in the time, Travis. That's all I'm going to say.
Can we cut and edit that, please? My 2019 demo reel will just be
Hey,
that.
I'm
right
just
there.
keeping it real, man. I'm
no.
just keeping it real.
No, I really appreciate that, you know. But you know, one of the things that we just kind of touched on is something that you and I have had a lot of conversations about. And Kevin is someone that has helped me a lot in my career, just kind of finding myself. I definitely view you as a mentor in a lot of ways. And one of the things I think you taught me most importantly is to be happy, to not chase money, to pick and choose jobs. There was a long time where I would be miserable because I never had free time for myself. And you just looked at me and said, so why don't you go take vacation? And I was like, whoa, vacation, what is that? You know? And you were like, yeah, you told me that after every show that you do, you shut it down. You purposely will go take a vacation or just get off the grid to just kind of bring your brain back and get refreshed, if that makes sense.
Well, you have to. And to me, it's just a life lesson. Even when I was younger, you know, when I had coaches and stuff like that, you know, when you're young, dude, you want to win, you want to win, you want to win.
Yeah.
Well, then I overtrained. And I had to have people go, dude, okay, check this out. So after this race, you're off your bike for a month. A month? Dude, nuh-uh. I'm not letting anybody get the upper hand on me. You're off your bike for a month. And until I had that life lesson, it was like, then the next race out, dude, it was like destroying them.
Yeah. The
It's
rest
like
is good sometimes.
the rest was good. It's one thing to be off your bike, but then to be told to stay off your bike. And then you go out and you just focus on other things. Like, all right, dude, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. Didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Then when it was time to get back in, dude, it was just like, I don't know, superpowers. You just felt stronger.
The level up.
Mentally
right?
and physically.
Totally. Yeah.
So I learned then, but then I went away from it. Then you get involved in stunts and growing up in life. And then I would see what happens around me. And then I'm just like, okay, you know what? There was an opportunity in my life when I was working a lot. Mm-hmm. I was making good money and I wasn't happy.
Been there.
And and it was like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
I don't understand what's wrong. And then I had to actually take a step back and I figured it out. So I'm going to have to go make a change.
Yes.
And I made the change. And then I'm like, oh no, man, what's going to happen? Am I ever going to work again? Am I going to be blackballed?
Exactly.
Man, my work almost doubled. After I took a step back, realized what I need to do to make me happy. And I just experienced, well, it's obviously not money. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not happy. So I always, when I see young guys or when I see people that I like and I care about, it's like, dude, you're on fire, but dude, don't forget to just chill out for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget you just asked me, hey, do you still get phone calls? And I said, yeah. And you said, so why do you think they're going to stop? I was like, oh.
I remember that.
Facepalm.
Right.
It's funny just listening to you verbalize this out loud right now is really funny because I think Paul can attest to it. When we train, we do exactly what you're talking about. We'll push super hard and I almost feel like I'll plateau and then I'll just take a little break.
Yeah.
And when I come back, I feel stronger, faster, better, and everything.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I know this as far as training is concerned, but I didn't equate it to my mental health and my happiness as far as taking a break from stunts,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember just listening to you, man, and just listening to your conversation. And if you're already a hard trainer, if you're already a hard person I need to dial myself in as a human being, you're already above half the people out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have the work ethic or the training ability to go where you need to go mentally. So we're already at that level.
Yeah.
So now imagine at that level and being burnt out. So it's kind of twofold for a lot of athletes versus the everyday person. But when the everyday person doesn't understand, dude, it doesn't faze me. How can they understand? They've never been there.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So when you get going, it's easy dude, I want to be the best at this.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. It's like, dude, you got to step back. No, I don't. Yes, you do. But even for the young people out there, man, it's all about, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be here.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to stay there. Now, manage it.
So what does Kevin Jackson do to relax?
Man, as an old man right now, I've learned, I like life.
Okay.
I mean, I can, to sum it up for me, I love life. I love people. So that gets me going. What I have to do, though, is I will give my all if I go work for somebody. Yeah. I'm mentally into the game. So when a show is over, I have to shut down. But I have to shut down for two reasons. Number one, I can't forget who I am. Number two is I need to recharge my battery.
Yes.
So when something comes up again, I'm ready. If I don't find that neutral ground, life, it doesn't become hard, but it becomes scattered.
Okay.
So it's easy to go left. It's easy to go right. It's easy to go left. Oh, I forgot to do this over here.
Yeah.
So I always try to just shut it down. And shutting down for me sometimes is, dude, I'll take a week and just do a hike every day and go up to a mountain and just chill.
Cool.
People might think it's crazy, but that's my peace.
And you're not here full time, right? You split your time some.
Yeah. So I split my time between here and Utah.
Cool.
And I'm an outdoorsy guy. I love the outdoors. So I try to function in a way to where when you're working, work hard, be nice, be polite, and try to help out the best that you can.
Yeah.
When I'm not working, okay, go find out who you are, recharge. So when you come back, you can still be that same person.
Yes. No, it's crucial. Because, I mean, it's like you said, when you're on these movies and you're part of a team, it's really about working with people you want to work with. Mm-hmm. It's something I realized really early on in my career was the guys that are on these long runs and out-of-town jobs, sometimes there would be a couple of guys where I'm like, he's not the most talented guy, but he makes me laugh every day, and everyone wants to be around that guy.
Yeah.
And that guy's more than willing to help no matter what, whether it's rigging or moving pads or shooting previs and all that. And it comes down to just being somebody that people want to be around for 3 months every day.
And that's what it is, because look, man, we can teach pretty much anybody anything.
Yeah,
we really can.
Yeah.
But I don't take that comment for granted. The reason I say that is, you can be taught, But at the same time, how hungry are you? And hunger comes from different areas, whether it's the work ethic, whether it's the people ethic, whether it's the respect ethic. All that ties in. So when you can find, I always say it's always fun to make soup. And soup only tastes good when you have the right ingredients.
Totally.
I mean, that's really, so I know I'm using some of these OG comments up here. But I'm just trying to keep it basic.
Fast forward to a year from now when I'm using the same analogies. It's like making soup.
Man, I want my soup to taste good,
exactly.
man. So if I got to have a little bit of this, that's what you bring in.
Totally.
And I think, and I don't take it for granted, I feel very, very fortunate that I was able to find that in my career and be a part of it, because that's important. Because when you're in it, you're grateful. And when it comes to an end, man, what an experience. Because, this business here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
But one thing I won't regret is man, I was able to be who I am. I was able to work hard, and I was able to get so much out of it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different levels and so many steps in this industry. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you can be doing stunts, you can be rigging, you could be a coordinator, you can direct second, you could be a producer, the sky's the limit.
Totally. Yeah.
So why not go out and chase happiness?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to put it. And honestly, this business has allowed me to make more money than I imagined I would at a young age, to then go pursue other avenues and other businesses and other things from there. So
absolutely. Well, and it's a business.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is, look, man, we all have fun together. We all can joke together, but it's a business.
Yeah.
Totally. And so I think as long as you remember that, as you make your steps through this industry, and no matter what level you're at or no matter what you do, understand the end game.
Yes.
Yeah, and everybody's end game is different.
What is your end game? What's Kevin's end game? Yeah.
Yeah, my end game, I would always okay, man, I'm going to do stunts. All right, man, now, okay, well, I want to coordinate. I'm going to go coordinate.
Totally.
All right, man, I want to rig. I'm going to go rig. All right, I had an opportunity to do some second unit directing. Man, my end game is happiness.
Cool. Nothing
It's
wrong
happiness.
with that.
Yeah, because people are okay, he's over here, he's rigging. Oh, didn't you just able to second unit direct some stuff? Yeah, came up. The opportunity was good. I took it.
Totally.
Hey, weren't you coordinating over here? Yeah, I've done some little shows and stuff like that. Yeah, opportunity came up. I took it. So what are you going to do? I'm just going to enjoy life, man.
Man, it's a really big key that you're pointing on there. Bringing up Ben again. Ben went to a stunt event a couple of weeks ago. And I won't say the event because I don't want to get it wrong. But and it's not to talk about the event. It's just a thing that we kind of realized. He went to the event, hundreds of people there, trying to hustle as always.
Yeah.
And he said the thing that bothered him the most was that every single person came up to him and all they cared about was, what are you working on? What you been doing? What are you doing?
See, that's sad.
He said the one person and thing he remembered was Esteban Corto coming up and saying, hey, man, are you happy? How's life?
Right on.
And I'm like, dude, you're right. At the end of the day, that's really what should matter, amongst all of us, even though we're colleagues and we do all these jobs together. It should be personal happiness, not money and jobs and what's on your resume last year or last week. It shouldn't really matter, but it definitely starts to define people in LA.
Well, and it does, man, because it gets to a point in life to where, and in the business that we're in, we all know, I call it, man, I got a ton of phony friends, got a ton of them. But I can count the real ones on my hand.
Yeah.
And those people are people you care about. And, a lot of times I have to go to people that are close to me. Dude, I want to set freaking work aside right now. Number one, man, how you doing? And I want to say thank you, for being a friend. I want to talk about work.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about it. And I only have a couple of people a handful of people I can do that with.
Totally.
And that means more to me than anything because we've already done our work talking.
Yes.
We've done that throughout the year and we've done it at work. Yeah. And I respect that.
Yeah.
And I respect, people with mad talent, But at the same time, I also want to have people that are just real people, and you can learn from that. People don't understand, it's not always about business. Sometimes it's just about, how'd your week go, man? How's your wife doing?
Yeah.
How's your girl? How's your kid doing?
Totally. Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I got passion for that. You know, and that's all I want to hear about. I don't give a crap what job you just got off. We'll talk about that later. I want to know how you are as a person.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you going. I mean, that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, totally.
You know, because the respect that I have for others and the respect that people have shown me, that takes care of itself. That's going to happen if it's meant to happen. I'm not going to worry about that. What I'm going to worry about is if I have friends, you know, I want to know how they're doing. You know, what's going on with you? Yo, dude, you need to just step back for a minute, dude. Why don't you just go chill? You need to go find yourself.
Yeah.
Because that way when you come back, now I have the real you.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's just how I'm wired.
And we've had this convo about myself several times, man. Yeah, totally. So
only because I care.
I just want to know, if there was anything that you could do differently, would you have done anything differently? Or is there any advice that younger Kevin would have benefited from hearing?
Yeah.
You know, is there anything that you think that looking back over the years from a professional standpoint or, you know, an industry standpoint, is there anything you would change or anything that you wish you would have done differently? Or is it all part of the process?
Number one, it's all part of the process. If I had to look back and say, what would I have done differently? I don't really have anything because I'm happy with how life has turned out. If it ends tomorrow, it's been a great ride.
Yep.
And most of all, if the business ends tomorrow, I still have a handful of friends. And to me, that sums it up because, man, all this other stuff, you know, it's don't get me wrong. I like putting stuff together. I like creating stuff. At the end of the day, it's a movie.
Yeah, totally.
It's a movie. Yeah. But did we have a chance to be a part of it? Cool. Totally down with that. But it's a movie.
Yeah.
You know, so if I walking away with the people that I consider friends, I'm mad cool.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
I was literally going to ask you, like, what is it that you want to be remembered for? But I feel like you pretty much summed it up all in that all-encompassing answer of just having good friends and having people like you for you.
Bottom line, man.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing better.
Man, no, I really appreciate your insight on this, you know. So what's the next step? You said you're going on a plane to Australia. You're about to head out for a few months.
Yeah, we're going to head out to Australia, and we'll be there till April.
Okay.
And then after that, you know, I'm the type of guy, let's see what's around the corner.
When's this movie slated to come out? Next year?
Next year.
2020?
Yeah, because Godzilla slated to come out, I think, May 2019.
Okay.
And then this will follow. So this will be 2020.
Cool, man.
And you never know, man. Like I said, I went and saw Kong Skull Island. I was like, damn, I wasn't expecting
good,
that.
right?
It was good.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, okay, they know what they're doing, you know? And Legendary's been great.
Yes.
You know? So I'm the type of guy, you know what? You go work, put 150% in, and when that's done, you see what's waiting for you around the corner. And if you've done your job and you've satisfied the environment, your phone's gonna ring.
Yep, 100%.
It's gonna ring, man.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, man. Yeah.
Trav,
thank you,
Kevin.
Man. Yeah, no, thank you, man. And we'll definitely have to have you come by when the movie wraps up. You know, just touch base and see how everything went, and then hopefully by then we'll talk about what's on the books next.
Yeah, we can see what the man Travis is up to.
Awesome.
Yeah, such a pleasure, man.
Oh, KJ, well, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in. For any of you guys out there that are interested in learning more, feel free to check out Kevin Jackson online on his IMDb. And if you guys are interested in learning about the movie he's working on, King Kong vs. Godzilla by Legendary Pictures, coming out sometime in 2020. I'm Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us on another JAMCast. Thanks, Kevin Jackson, for stopping in. Make sure you guys subscribe, and we will see you guys soon. Peace.
Love it.